Welcome to Embodied Enlightenment. I am Carrie Merriam. Thank you so much for being here. Today's podcast is going to be a doozy. I have such an incredible human being across the seat from me. Not only is he an avid marketer and sales guru, what's more interesting about the gentleman in front of me is that he studied theoretical astrophysics. Flo, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Carrie.
So this is Flo Eberhart, and did I say that right?
That's right.
Yes! I had to practice that for a little bit. And we were talking about entropy, but really connecting around what the meaning of life is. And I think what's so fascinating about us coming together and connecting is you take so much of the science and I get to fuse it with the spirituality, and that's really what I wanted this conversation.
It's a good, great topic, great base for a good conversation.
So why are we here? Let's just start with a big question.
Let's
why are we here? Why do you think we're here from a scientific perspective?
To be honest, I do not know. I think I just put puzzles together which make sense for me in a way, and which are blended with intuition, science, and intuition, feeling, and spirituality. Okay, so let's dive in. I have a couple of years back, I think it's almost 10 years ago, I came up with this thought just while studying physics. I was attending a thermodynamics course. Thermodynamics is part of physics where you just basically it's a school of thermodynamics is basically a school of temperature differences and pressure and how engines work and everything. And there's certain laws, certain statements which are just true, which are observations from the nature. And there's three fundamental laws, and the second law of thermodynamics is, just to sum it up quickly, is the entropy in a closed system is always increasing over time.
What if people don't know what entropy is?
Yes.
What is that?
Entropy is there's a quite specific name on definition on it. So let's cut it really down. It is, you can imagine entropy as unorder, chaos, and it's not 100% scientifically correct, but this is kind of I think it's the third root of the phase room. Phasenraumzustand. I just know the German word for that. Anyway, but so you can simplify it as a chaos. The chaos in a closed system is always increasing. So just imagine
the chaos in a closed system is always increasing.
Yes, over time. And so just imagine you have a bottle which with two gases or two liquids, and the bottle is separated by a wall. So what happens if I put out the separation and the two liquids or two gases, they are confronting each other? So if I let this bottle stand, they diffuse, they kind of mix up over time. And this is basically this law. So if you drop a glass, the glass just breaks up and goes into all, and there's more chaos. So this is the natural way of time we are used to. We are used to it, but there's basically no other physical law than this, that the splitters can come up and form the glass. That inhibits this, basically. It's just our experience, and this is how the universe obviously works. And but based on this, they derive this law. Entropy in a closed system is always increasing. If you leave your room for a month or years like this, you come back, it will probably be wasted because of dust, because of whatever, something comes down from the roof or and so on. And so this law, based on this law, I was just looking at different things. I was looking at life. What is life? And I just saw there, hey, life is basically, let's take a tree. A tree in the woods or somewhere out in the fields. Tree absorbs all the nutrition, breathes the air basically, and grows. And also absorbs sunlight. And it grows and builds basically a system which is much more complex than its parts. And it grows further. What happens then? The tree spreads out and builds a forest. The forest is more complex. Even on another level, human being grows, we get children, it's also that. Or what do we do in our life? We create kind of more order, if you want so. It's hard to quantify, but like a city probably is also more in order than what was before. So we kind of create more order in any kind of way. And so I thought, oh, okay, this is kind of this is not aligned with the second law of thermodynamics. And I was doing a little bit more research. Then I came across a guy, probably you guys heard of him, Erwin Schrödinger.
No one's heard of him.
No one heard of him. He's a super famous.
Okay, now you've heard of him. He's super famous.
Super famous physicist. Early 1900s, and he basically co-founded in a way the quantum physics, and he has this really cool Gedanken experiment, thought experiment. Okay. Basically, it's called the Schrödinger's cat, dead or alive. Probably you guys heard of it. And he kind of worked with a lot of thought experiment, and he has this book. I went to the library and I saw this book, What is Life? I think it's called What is Life, from Schrödinger, or Life. And then I was reading into it, and this guy was just like disrupting my theory, and I'm like, fuck this. Anyway, I read it, and he kind of described it in a way. Yes, it seems like this is contradicting this law, but if you take the whole system, it's not. If you take the whole solar system, for example, okay, just imagine now the solar system with the sun in the middle, planet Earth is there, and planet Earth there's a lot of accumulation of life, which kind of creates more order, decreases the entropy, and the rest. So if you just take the Earth, obviously it seems like, hey, there's life on there, the entropy there decreases, so that's against the law. But if you see the whole solar system, we kind of get nourished by negative entropy, energy from the sun, which creates here a bubble in the Earth, in the space of the Earth, life, and kind of keeps there like a continuum or like a kind of a battery of this negative entropy. But if you take the whole solar system in a couple of million or billion years, it kind of just goes away, it fades away, and the whole law is again the same. Is again stated, and it kind of makes sense. But based on this, I thought, well, what would happen if we as a species, or if we as a life form, have the capability or find something to tap into other kind of energy sources, or tap into something, or we kind of get autark of energy sources? Then that's where kind of spirituality comes into play. Is there some other kind of energy sources that we don't need to just nourish from the sun? And so on.
Yeah. So what's so fascinating about this conversation, and about the tree analogy as well, and why the trees, I believe, are able to live such longer lives, is because they're not leaking their pranic life force. And that's kind of where the conversation navigated to down a crazy rabbit hole of spirituality and energy, because as an energetic, vibrational, cosmic being that we are, that all of us are, I truly believe why we are here is to understand our own pranic power and bring ourselves into wholeness so we can expand into the consciousness of all things. And you have to be able to do that by understanding not only your energetic self, but being able to fill up your own energetic vessel.
Yeah.
And that's where we can go really down of being like, you don't need to eat, you don't need water, you don't need the sunlight. We're outsourcing we're receiving our energy from all these other places, but all you really need is your breath.
Yeah.
That's what's going to charge you. Because the very first thing that you do is you go,
you're breathing.
Yeah.
And the last thing you do?
You let it go.
Okay.
So you take an inhale when you're bored, and you take an exhale when you leave. You're releasing your pranic life force back into the existence. But all of the breaths in between that, we are giving out so much of our energy, not from a place of alignment, from a place of not being whole with ourselves. So of course we're experiencing entropy. Yeah.
This is something which blew my mind the other day when we had this conversation, and I was looking for this other kind of way of circumventing this law or somehow. And obviously, why I was looking for it, because for me, I wanted to find a reason, and I'm still looking for it. I don't have it yet. That might be a possibility. Like my conclusion back then was like, okay, you know what? Well, maybe the purpose of life is just to spread out through the galaxy. If you see life not as life, what we see it, like on a smaller scale, but if you see life as a force, like a natural force within the universe, which could be like just similar to gravity, you know, and it has a tendency to spread out through the universe, create or decreases the entropy, and bring in the universe back together. Because there's like
but that's the same as consciousness. It's expansion and contraction.
Yeah.
And that comes from where the individual that is experiencing that life force contained in their physical body.
Yeah. But do you think every conscious being or every life being can reach that within themselves, or the whole of life in the universe reaches that or already reached it?
I think it is the individual journey.
Yeah.
I think that goes into a lot of the reason why we're here. It is to get to a place of full wholeness within the self so we can expand into the oneness of all. We give ourselves back to the energetic essence that is.
And the energetic essence that is, what is that?
Why do you need to know? I love the science, I know. Yeah, I don't need to know. Because to me, it doesn't matter.
What is consciousness for you?
Consciousness is... I feel like there's no answer that the mind will be satisfied with, because the mind's only satisfied with the mind.
Okay, what's your definition?
So we're getting into places of how do we describe and how do we define specific terms based on our experiential understanding of life. Right? So consciousness, again, I don't think it's ever going to be satisfied. It just is. It's a way of life. It's a way of connecting to the divine genius that you are at a cellular level, and understanding the divine genius of all things. So it is this contraction and expansion. Okay.
But I wasn't even mentioning yet the contraction and expansion. There's in physics there's certain, like all of you guys probably heard of the Big Bang, the origin of the universe. Kind of I think 8 billion years ago or 12 billion years ago, there was every matter, everything was compressed within a point in space which is smaller than an atom, and then it just started expanding. This was the Big Bang. And this expansion, if you compare it to normal explosion, a normal explosion expands really fast, kind of accelerating, and then slows down. So if you see now the Big Bang and the universe and measure the expansion rate right now we have.
But explosion couldn't happen unless there's so much compression of energy, right, that allows the explosion to happen. So you have to bring yourself into full wholeness like the individual.
Yeah.
And contain and understand the containment of all of the energy for it to get beyond the wholeness into the oneness of all.
True.
Is that not the same of what we are doing? Is that
so
not
maybe,
the path of the individual?
That's a super interesting question. So maybe then, like, if you say on an individual level we all try to get to this state of wholeness, and then to the state of wholeness. So you mean kind of we want to create this unity within ourselves, and the universe at one point was at this stage.
I never thought about that way.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And maybe if we all, or the rest of the universe reaches that again, we probably will have another combustion. Just to continue that thought, there's certain end scenarios of the universe physicists talk about, and one of them is the cold freeze, as it's called. Basically, if the universe continues to expand and accelerates to expand, expands at one point so fast that no molecule, no atom even, or maybe not a molecule, basically can sustain that, and everything gets ripped apart and everything cools down. There's a cold freeze and everything is kind of dead, which is a possibility. I don't like it, and my intuition tells me it's like I don't like it. I don't connect with it. And there's another possibility, which is kind of a closed universe, a circular universe, which is like, okay, there's some kind of force which brings everything again back together, and we have another big bang, and it expands again, and something brings it back again, and it expands again. Kind of a rhythmic movement, maybe a heartbeat or whatever.
What you're describing to me is kind of like, I would think, a black hole.
Well, yeah, what brings it back together, you mean? There are like theories, okay, black hole, basically what is a black hole? Black hole is a deep accumulation, it's a singularity. It's a deep accumulation of of mass, which is so strong that there's nothing can come out, not even light, because light has also mass when it travels. So there's calculations, okay, could gravity bring it back together? And they right now say it's not possible, it's too weak. Maybe it increases, there's some ways to increase it over time, or something changes within the fabric of the universe. But as far as I know so far, gravity is too weak to really bring it back together, because we're still accelerating
at such rapid speeds.
And so that's why we our physicists neglected that, and that's why we still looking for some other forces which can bring it back together. Yeah, my option would be maybe life, maybe this wholeness within ourselves we have to find to do that, to create more less entropy, basically. Yeah. This is a damn interesting topic, because it has an overlay of like so many different chapters, like physics or science, spirituality, philosophy, and
it's all the same. The only differentiation is the individual that's interpreting it.
Probably that's it. Yeah.
The mind's an amazing thing. That's why when people ask, like, well, how do you define this? It's like, how do you define love, or how do you define success? That's why consciousness is so specific to the individual that's experiencing consciousness.
Yeah. There's a scientific definition of it, actually, I heard.
There's scientific definitions of everything. But again, that is still an interpretation of an individual that has studied and activated the intellectual aspect of themselves and the mind. Yeah.
Which is, if you want to describe it the same way, if you want to describe it, and like, this is quote of Einstein. Do you remember it? Like, if you're trying to solve the problem with the same way that created the problem, that's kind of insanity.
Yeah.
And this is in a way the same thing. You kind of try, if that's the case, if you're trying to define something which is outside of the realm of the mind, you try to define it within the mind. This is the same, because you can't grasp it.
That's why embodied enlightenment is so important, because it's about getting into your body. Because the body, we are here in this physical embodiment of ourselves, so we can create consciousness and enlightenment within our physical containment of energy.
So what do you think, Harry?
What do I think about what?
What do you think about the purpose of life?
To have a lot of fucking fun. Again, we were playing around this experience too. I think it is so many of our purposes are so different, because I truly believe all of us are here to bring everyone into a place of wholeness, so we can all kind of matrix style start to ebb and flow within how we are creating our realities. And that takes conscious awareness, and that's kind of like the evolution of the soul, right? Yeah. So the evolution of the soul, all of us are here on different evolutionary paths of our soul, and that's tied into our purpose. My purpose really is just to have a lot of fucking fun and serve a bunch of people on the way. Like, you know, once you get to a place within your existence where you've had the opportunity to really reflect and look at all of the ways in which you are giving and spilling your pranic life force all over the place, you can come into a containment and wholeness of self that allows you to continue to move forward from a much deeper sense of ease and wonderment, where things just become really fun and exciting. Yeah. So let's all get there.
we talked about it. It's like, what is the purpose of life? And there's like, I think I have like these two realities, these two truths in my head, and they kind of sometimes collide, sometimes not. Yeah, maximize your experience. This is it. Like, what is life? Life is a way.
But I don't think you can maximize your experience until you've come into wholeness, right? Because what happens is then your trajectory is not all connected. You're giving a little bit of yourself over here and a little bit of yourself over there and a little bit of yourself over there. So of course you don't feel fulfilled.
I see. I think you can maximize it from your, like, maximization is also not another term you have to define, but I think for someone who is not come to its whole, how you call it, you still can maximize it from your point of view you have right now.
How?
You can, like, okay, obviously
that goes against science. That goes against everything that you believe. Why? Okay, I don't know shit about science, so let me see if I can get my science hat on right now. Okay, so energy. Is contained energy a stronger force, or non-contained energy a stronger force?
Contained energy can create a force.
Okay, non-contained energy can't. Is that what you're saying? If there's a bunch of molecules, and they're all, again, I'm not a scientist, so bear with me. If there's a bunch of molecules, right, and there's a molecule over here to the left, and then there's a molecule over here to the right, and then there's like one in front of you, 5 feet, but they're all charged and they're all communicating. Is their force greater, or is those 3 molecules together a greater force in the universe?
Well, if you put them together, you kind of have to put on a force to bring them together, which again creates an anti-force.
That's what's called our body. Do you see where I'm coming at?
Not 100%.
Okay, so again, from a molecular understanding, if there are a bunch of atoms that are all merged together and they're moving forward throughout other energetic experiences of life, that is a stronger force than those molecules not being contained together. Correct? That is our body. So we're giving out we're extending ourselves in so many different ways. So we're limited to how much we can actually maximize our expansion. So what you're saying from a scientific perspective is wherever they are, they can still have a maximized experience. And I'm going, no, they can't. It's limited. It's capped. Until you come into wholeness, until you come into full embodiment, it's capped. Your experience is capped. That doesn't mean you can't have a lot of fucking fun. But you're still looking for fulfillment within that fun. Versus you no longer need fulfillment because it's just fun.
What's fulfillment for you?
We're getting back to definitions. So again, I think it just comes back to wholeness. Complete. Oneness.
Can you have fulfillment even if you're not wholly whole? Like, can you have fulfilled moments?
Of course. That's why consciousness is so fascinating to me, because it's expansion and contraction. You can be expanded in one aspect of your consciousness and contract it in another. And that's just the condition of the mind. Or physiological resistance within the energetic self, or physiological resistance within like the muscular skeletal system. Listen, I'm not Yoga Jesus.
No.
I'm not Yoga Jesus yet. I don't have all the answers, but I just...
We're just talking.
We're just talking.
We just kind of have a good conversation about it. And
it is fascinating to think about it that way, I think.
But how does it look like? When you have this when you contain yourself and have this one direction?
It looks like ease. So
Do you have that
Yeah.
all the time?
No. I'm choosing to be a human in a conditioned experience of life.
Okay.
Of course I get pulled into the matrix. We all do.
Okay.
That's part of the fun.
But you pull yourself in and out. You dip in and out.
Well, that's where play comes in. Right? This is Maya. This is an illusion. This is a projection of our whatever we want to manifest and create.
What is Maya?
Well, the yogis. Am I podcasting you or are you podcasting me?
Well, look, I'm just curious.
Maya is the illusion of the world
Okay.
that we're all playing in.
The simulation we're in.
The matrix.
Human condition. Okay. So what, like, maximizing your experience, from my understanding of it, is maximizing your experience within the Maya.
Which is limited.
Well, probably. But obviously, like, yeah, just maximizing your experience within the Maya, you can do that without...
How?
You can choose to be more present, choose to enjoy more, choose to, like, really experience and be aware of all the impressions you have. Like this conversation right now, I can be fully there. I look in your eyes. We are sitting on this table. I'm feeling the chair. I'm hearing the birds outside.
Being in your body.
There's thousands, millions of impressions every millisecond, and I kind of, I can choose to enjoy them. I can choose to focus on them. I can choose not to focus on them. And what is maximizing there? There's like probably a good average of feeling them and being aware of them and enjoying the process of being aware of them. This is my definition of maximizing the experience, probably within the Maya.
I mean, I think that's beautiful. I don't think there's right or wrong. To me, that would be my definition of your path to wholeness.
Okay.
And from there, you will maximize your experience.
From on the path or in wholeness?
In the wholeness. So your definition of what you think maximizing your experience is actually just bringing yourselves together.
No, this is good. So
because you're getting in your body, everything that you're describing is embodiment. That's exactly what this is about, embodied enlightenment.
Yeah.
You can't be enlightened in the mind.
Yeah.
You can study all the books and you can't even be enlightened when you're meditating because you're not here.
Yeah.
You got to be in here.
Yeah.
And you're talking about impressions. Their impressions are bringing you into the present, that are the impressions that you are receiving through your sensational experience, which is part of the body, which is bringing you in here. So of course that's leading you to expand it.
So if you reach this state of wholeness or this wholeness, what is then for you
Everything.
maximizing the experience?
Everything.
Okay. Can you describe?
What is, for me, maximizing my experience from a place of wholeness?
Yes.
Again, for me, it's just fun. Like, how much can I manipulate my world? How much can I bend reality? How much can I shift and
But
shape?
is that not
throughout?
still within the Maya?
Yes, because I'm choosing to exist. We're all existing in the Maya.
Yeah.
We're all existing within this. I want to. It's where the fun comes in.
But then
I get to choose if I want to be a queen or a pauper.
But then I didn't grasp your definition of wholeness yet. Like,
It's so interesting that you're so fascinated around word definition.
okay, maybe, yeah, this is my scientific brain probably. But.
The easiest way for me to describe wholeness is energetic containment that easily flows in and out. So think of it like a river.
Okay. Oh, this analogy. So you kind of are in a super non-resistant state, exchanging, on constant exchange with the rest of the universe. This is interesting. But no, this is, I love it. I really love it. But isn't that what I described?
Sure.
But it's within the Maya.
I think we're talking about two different things.
Okay.
So, everything... Here, I'll clean it up really easily.
Okay.
Everything that we're talking about is the same because we're all going to the same place.
Yeah.
It's just how you're perceiving it in this moment because of where you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm just perceiving it in the moment of where I am. That doesn't mean it's not both the river of life.
Yeah. Okay. And
your mind, I can see your mind. I can literally see Flo's mind right now going, wait, what? Wait, what's happening? It's like trying to wrap his mind. Your mind's never going to be satisfied with it.
Probably,
just lean into it, lean in. You're like, but the science.
Yeah, true. This is the conflict I have, like this scientific upbringing, this scientific way of thinking, combining it with this spiritual way of thinking, or not thinking, experiencing maybe.
But I think beauty is about having both truth, like accepting both truth and kind of as perceiving both truths as a reality. I think this is interesting.
What are the two truths?
Both concepts, basically, both ways of thinking. One is the mind, maybe, and one is the analytical thing. Which is the mind? Maybe it can be seen as a tool. It's a tool to, actually, like a tool, like a screwdriver.
You need the mind.
Yeah, like a tool to act and interact within the physical world, and but only use it as a tool and don't project yourself fully into that, which is what we are doing. And
people talk about ego death, and I'm like, no, ego marriage. Don't.
Oh, that's a good term.
Yeah, ego marriage. You have to come into marriage of yourself. That is part of the wholeness. You have to fully accept all that you are, which is the subtle body of energy, which is the mind, which is the energetic life force, and the physical body.
So spiritual leaders call it as well, like not killing your ego. It's like expanding your ego towards like spreading it out within the whole universe. Kind of spreading your ego through your whole universe. Don't go for I want to do this, I want to be this. Go for I want everything. I'm everything. I think this is a similar way. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, you are everything.
Okay.
Do you have anything else that you wanna tell the viewers that are listening? Any closing remarks?
I think this is about. I think it really is about, or for me, what really drives me is about, just this big desire, this big curiosity I have within myself, and I still contain, I still helps me to move on. And it is about, I think, having more conversations like these, probably with people who are even more advanced within the certain fields, like spiritual masters, enlightened people, with scientists, and really putting themselves into empathetic states that they really try to understand each other. Because I think there's so much we still can explore and learn and didn't understand yet, and it's just amazing.
Well, thank you so much for being here and having a really fun conversation.
Thank you.
Flo, where can people find you if they want to find you after this podcast?
I think the best way is just go on my Instagram.
Okay.
There I started talking recently about my way of thinking, experiences, maximize your experiences. My Instagram is you just posted on there. I think it's Flo App.
Yeah,
Flo
we'll post it in the note section of the podcast. Sweet. Yes. Well, thank you again so much. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Do me a favor, go over and leave some feedback for us. Give Flo some love, and thank you so much again for listening. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye.